It's Christy Lister here, and my co-host, Robyn Michael. I almost said Michael Robyn. It's one of those days that everything is backwards today. I got on an hour early, so we are here with Beyond the First Response, and we have our special guest, Shawn Thomas. And if you'd like to introduce who's next to you, Shawn.
My husband, Jeff Thomas.
Nice to meet you, Jeff. I forgot to ask before we got on, so you think it was like a full moon. So we like to start. Robyn always has an icebreaker question for us.
This is very important information, and you both can answer if you want to. So your favorite breakfast cereal. This is sometimes controversial, and with the two of you on there, is it the same or is it different? You fight over this?
But what's funny is we were just talking about this yesterday about grape nuts, how we used to love grape nuts, but then the controversy was sugar or no sugar. And I go sugar, and he says, well, what's the point? And I said, and then we started looking up, why do they call it grape nuts? So we went down this whole rabbit hole about
why do they call it grape nuts? I actually like them too. I'm like one of the only, like 5 people in the entire world that like them.
Well, because they what we found out is they look like grape seeds, right? Which kind of look like nuts. And so I guess when this guy a long time ago started making grape nuts, he took cereal and in a coffee grinder, and then it looked like nuts. And so therefore it was grape nuts.
Okay. Interesting. No, it's grape nuts too, because I do love grape nuts. I remember pouring it in, but there was one that was like shaped like O's. Were those part of the grape nut family? Do you remember? They were almost like pressed together. Now I got to figure out what they are.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
They reminded me of grape nuts. I don't know. My mom made us eat it.
Well, when we were looking, they had flakes, which I have never seen grape nut flakes.
Yeah,
so maybe they did have O's.
That takes away the whole point of the grape nut. I don't know. There's something about that. Have you ever had them hot, heated them up?
No.
Yes.
Oh, it's good. Put some milk in there and put it in the microwave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've done a really good job selling grape nuts.
I know,
right?
So is that the favorite cereal of the house, or I don't know?
One of the reasons I liked them is because Yule Gibbons was so fun to make fun of. So I think he was a joke on Saturday Night Live for 5 years or something, right?
I don't think you've made it unless you're not a joke. You have to be a joke on Saturday Night Live to think that you've made it in anything, especially like the TV commercials, right? The scene on TV. Yeah. If you made it to that, then I think that's success.
No, I think
that's our icebreaker question.
I think one of my favorite cereals is oatmeal squares.
Oatmeal squares.
I don't know that I've ever had that.
We don't eat a lot of cereal. I mean, my kids used to, but they've kind of gone away from it too. So
yeah, I can't. It's just one of those things that it's like an after school snack, after work snack. If I'm hungry before I go to bed, cereal. It's just
middle of the night because I can't sleep. It helps me sleep. It puts me right to sleep.
It's satisfying, yes.
Yeah, it is. Especially a good bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I mean,
there you go. Can't miss with that.
Yeah.
I'm Raisin Bran. I can't help it. No sugar. Yeah, isn't that weird? I know.
Yeah, it is.
I know. Raisin Bran and almond milk. I don't know. It's good.
That's what I do. Almond milk.
Yeah. Unsweetened vanilla though.
Me too. Less calories.
Yep. My daughter, I have yet to try it. Over the weekend, she tried to make her own almond milk. So we'll see. I'll have to get back to you guys on that if it's good or not. I'm a little nervous to try. But she did take all my almonds, and now I can't eat them. So it better be good. They're expensive right now.
Yeah, they're always expensive.
Right? So we're excited to have you on here because one, Shawn's part of our First H.E.L.P team of sorts. And then Shawn and Jeff have this incredible conference that you guys started with a passion, first responder conferences. So would you like to go ahead and give us a little introduction into what you do with those? Because it's, I think, blown up for you more than you ever thought it would.
Yeah, I always feel bad when we do these podcasts because Jeff's like, the story again. He hears me tell the story over and over again. So
the look on the face there says it all.
But he's still next to you, so it says a lot.
We're both retired deputies with the King County Sheriff's Office. I retired last month after 25 years, and Jeff retired.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Jeff retired 2 years ago after 32 years. And then my dad retired, same department, 30 years. But it's been a while since he retired.
Yeah, 10 years, I think. Or something.
Yeah. So I grew up in and around law enforcement, which ultimately brought me into this profession. My dad being a police officer. I was hired in 97. And in 2006, I became a member of our peer support team. So I started responding to all the critical incidents that our deputies were involved with and helping them and their families through that process. Fast forward to 2015, Jeff had been on the department for about 27 years, on SWAT for about 18 years at that point, was undergoing some organizational stress and some cumulative stress, and he hadn't processed through and was coping with alcohol. It got to the point where he said, I need help. I said, great. Now what? We didn't feel comfortable reaching out to the department, asking for help. We weren't sure what that was going to look like. So we found a confidential resource. We got him the help that he needed. But during that whole process, I realized if we're both first responders and we don't know where to get help, there's got to be other people out there. So my peer support captain at the time knew everything that we had been through, suggested that we put on a mental health and wellness conference for first responders and their families. And I thought, well, sure, how hard can a conference be? And then I realized it was a lot of work putting on an event like that, but we had around 150 first responders attend. And after the conference was over, we had at least 5 people reach out for help. So it was clear to me that there's a lot of first responders that were suffering in silence. And I knew my department really didn't have any proactive wellness programs. We had a peer support team, but it was more reactive. So I found this to be true with several different first responders that I was talking to. And after that conference, people started contacting me saying, hey, I really like what you're doing. Can you help us put a conference on? And so we just try to move forward with the local boots on the ground folks to make that happen. Because every time we have a conference, people tell us how beneficial it is. I've had people call me and tell me that it saved their life. And so I became really passionate about it. And we just finished our 30th conference about 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even helping one person, I think you've done your job as much work as you put in. And I commend you for realizing that you needed help, Jeff. So thank you for being able to do that and not keep it inside. Because as we know, what that tends to turn out to is why First Help is around. So thank you for doing that. And I know that's hard. And I know that's hard on you and your kids and everybody around you. So it's much appreciated.
Yeah, I think it's harder for some people than others. I'm just one of those kind of people that I don't really care what people think about anything, to tell you the truth.
Good.
And I'm not in a bad way, but like I said, in cases like that, but then some people don't have that in them. So I guess those are the ones we sort of target.
Yeah.
I don't know, hearing that story, it kind of seems like it was meant to be, because I mean, even putting together a conference for the first time, it's not an easy thing. And the fact that you're able to do that and it kind of has blown up the way it has, it seems like both of you are exactly where you were supposed to be doing this stuff. So doing this work. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I enjoy meeting all of the fantastic, passionate first responders around the country. There's a lot of people out there that care, just like yourselves. So I just think that, it's important to get out there and break the stigma and provide confidential resources and beneficial tools to get these people through these difficult professions.
Yeah.
Now, as you said, also for family, do you see a lot of family coming to these conferences?
So we don't see a ton of family. We encourage family members to register, but we do get probably, I don't know, 10 to 15 couples And then some spouses come on their own. So, yeah, it's hard to reach the families. I don't think that, I know that my department really never reached out to the family, which is unfortunate. Other than going to the academy and bringing the family in and saying you're part of the family, they don't really proactively do much, right?
Not
And
at
I
all.
think that we really need to get the family more involved, because once you get into this profession, it changes you. And they don't understand the change a lot of the times, right? If we're not communicating very well. And so the communication piece needs to be there.
Right. And it changes your family. And they don't realize that it's changing them as well. And that's something that I know I didn't realize until this side of suicide, this side of divorce and suicide, did I realize how much it changed me and changed my children as a whole. So that's things that I would love to see on that front end, like you said. And is it in policy that they don't contact family? Because I feel like it's at least, I don't know, Robyn will have to answer on the fire side, but on the police side, I feel like they will not send anything out to the family. It all goes into the officers' mailboxes, which then in turn never makes it home. 9 times out of 10, never makes it home to the family. So then we don't know half of the events that are going on.
Well, it's like sending a note home with your kid, right? You're not going to see it until the teacher emails,
Right.
or sends a message. Why didn't you sign this? Sign what?
That's not my signature.
Yeah, we've kind of thought about things like that. Well, I know at least my peer support captain did, like, hey, how do we get this information home? Do we send postcards in the mail? What do we do? And I really don't know the answer to that. And then I don't know if, at least on the police side, if the officer would downsize it and say, oh yeah, it's stupid, don't go to it, or what. I don't know what would happen.
I think the officer would, but I also think that if it was put into the family's hands that way, that the family would be like, oh, I'm going. It doesn't say you have to be there. I'm going.
Right. Sure.
Yeah, it's a hard thing because I've kind of put a lot of thought into it as well. Just so Eric and I were married when he joined the fire departments, but I know that for a lot of people, they're not even in a relationship yet. So this is stuff that happens down the road. They're so young.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tricky thing. I don't think it's a one size fits all approach. And I think it depends on the department as well. Is it a smaller department? Is it a bigger department? Because like he was with the county fire department. So you're talking hundreds of people.
Yeah.
I think overall it's always, everything's come a long ways in all first responder, worlds. I know when I was in the academy in the 80s, there wasn't a lot of family stuff involved, but they did absolutely say, if you're married and you're entering this profession, your divorce rate is like this many %. And they didn't really elaborate more than that. And, in the police world, the joke is, you're not really a real guy until you buy a woman a house, so there's a lot of divorce. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's very high. So,
yeah.
I know when Ken went through the academy, I'd met him when he was a year on the force, and he's like, 56% of officers' marriages end in divorce. I'm like, well, that's an odd number. But I don't know. I'm sure it's increased by now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I think that, they told us, I think if you're married, the percentage is pretty high. You're going to get a divorce. And if you're not married, you probably have more of a chance, starting a relationship after you've established yourself in the occupation. So.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point that you just hit. I think a lot of times, like Shawn, you said, you become a different person and maybe you're not compatible with your partner that you had previous to becoming a first responder anymore. And I'm almost wondering, there's a lot of times that I wonder, had things been different if Eric and I had divorced, maybe he would still be alive. So it's just, there's so many variables in this topic. I think, even with the information that I have now, knowing that what he was going through, I'm not sure that we were compatible anymore. And that's okay. You know, he might still be alive. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. So
Yeah, I think, you know, and they talk about divorce rates, and especially if you're married to another cop, right? It's even higher, which
that
you know,
surprises
wasn't-
me, actually.
yeah, it surprises me too, because I think that with the both of us in the profession, knowing what each other were going through helped in the long run. There are some things that obviously affected him that didn't affect me, or vice versa. But I think that just understanding the profession helped us get through some things. And I mean, we always joke about our dinner conversations, like how much we probably ruined our kids being open and honest about things and what they've heard. And, you know, I'm sure that we've traumatized them, or who knows, I don't know. But you know, they know what the real world looks like. So, you know, again, I don't know if that's a pro or con, but anyways,
I think
I
it's a
feel
tough,
like that's a pro,
Yeah, I do
honestly.
too,
Yeah.
totally.
it's a tough topic to rope in, because, you know, like everything else, you know, like addiction, like everything, there's so many different levels of things. And then somebody said there's no black and white and all that. You know, you throw that around, but it's exactly right. I mean, there's just so many different levels, so you can't throw like black and white solutions at all
Exactly.
these things, you know. So it's different for everybody. So it's hard to put your thumb on it and have a solution.
Yeah.
You know, I
Well-
think part of the big issue for all first responders is you get, you know, they load so many things on you, and you get into this hair on fire going forward at 100 miles an hour, and it catches up to you.
Mhm.
And I think that does things to the family, their personal life, as well as your psyche when you get down the road and see things. But you just sometimes, you know, in my profession, you know, you felt overwhelmed once in a while because everybody demands perfection.
Yeah.
And if you don't deliver that, then they look at you like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And for people who can accept that and move forward, it's not a problem. But for some people, it's obviously a problem to get through that.
Are you able to see, Jeff, and Shawn, actually, I'm sure there's something, because like you said, some calls affected Jeff differently than you. Do you know or look back and think there are a couple calls that really, you know, affected you so much as to why you started drinking heavily? Or was it just the overall everything adding up?
Well, for me, like getting back to what I was saying about, I think there's so many different levels for different people. I mean, culturally, I drank because that's what my age group did. I mean, that's what we did, right? I mean, I was an athlete. We played whatever sport we were playing in that season, and then afterwards we'd go to a party, you know.
So
Mhm.
And
true.
so, and I, you know, my folks drank and my family did, and so I don't think that's got a whole lot to do with where I ended up. It just was perpetuated by, and for me, you know, I'd much rather hang out with suspects than my own command staff, you know. So that was my problem. My problem was that I couldn't get over the decision-making stuff that I kept seeing that I thought was completely inane, you know. So,
Like you wanted to help them?
well, no, I felt more comfortable being around bad guys than I did, you know, listening to my own commanders.
Oh, I see what you're
decisions they're making,
Yeah.
and you know, whatever politics and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what kind of got to me, I think. And it wasn't so much that you know, was trying to obliterate it with booze. I got sick and tired of it, and I needed to change the scenery is what it came down to. So, but that's a different level than some folks have to deal with that drink too much or use dope or whatever they do to get through their day. I mean, so it's a very difficult thing because it's not like you can just make a magic decision and clean it up. It just depends on the person, you know. So
And the support that you have behind you.
Sure. I mean, like I said, I was lucky because when I decided that I was overdoing it, I didn't care what people thought. I was sick of it. I wanted to do something different. But some people can't. The stigma is still around. I mean, it's just there. For me, it didn't bother me. I could care less, and I don't. It didn't really seem to affect anything. As far as supervision or whatever, I made a decision not to do that years ago, just because I didn't think I didn't appreciate what they were doing. I didn't like and that's just our detailed, what we do here in this part of the world, and other places that I might have thrived in supervision or that, so it was a weird thing. And like I said, it didn't, the suspects and the criminal world and all that kind of stuff, I thrived on that. I just couldn't stand the occupational cred that we had jumped through every day.
I get that.
Yeah. What part of the country did you grow up in?
Well, Pacific Northwest. I always try to say that, preface everything we say with like we did, and we're talking about law enforcement, obviously. We did law enforcement in the Pacific Northwest. So obviously, everything's liberal here. So we have no idea what really goes on in, the Southwest or the East or the Southeast or whatever.
I'm in California, so I get it.
Sure. So and you base what you're thinking on that. And, when the reforms and all these things started coming forward, it's almost a joke because people are treated like kings here, regardless of where you're at in society, whatever you've labeled yourself or whatever. So it kind of blew me away when Seattle and Portland has the biggest protests. Because are you kidding me? I mean, people can do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's why they did it, because people can do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
As a law enforcement officer, very frustrating because, there's rules and laws and ethos and ethics and stuff. And it just became unrealistic. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I abruptly retired because I couldn't take it anymore. It just got silly,
Well, and you're not alone, because I'm in Illinois and I'm seeing a ton retire out sooner than later. Instead of holding on a few more years, they're just done. They're done with everything.
Like across the whole culture now. I mean, there's all these jobs that are wide open, and just the police, and I don't know. I don't think fire is going through that as much as law enforcement is, but
not as much, but they're having a staffing problem. I mean, just here in the Bay Area, there's a huge staffing shortage, and I don't really know. I think a lot of it is generational. I think this new generation coming in, from what I understand, they get in and they're like, no, this isn't what I want to do. And they just leave. Whereas, I'm Gen X, and I guess it probably started with millennial, that you didn't do that when you became a first responder. Like, this is for life for the most part. This isn't and I think Eric, he got in and kind of had some of those similar thoughts. He was in his early 30s when he started. And, it's just ingrained in you that when you start this process, you do so much to get into it, especially on fire. I don't know what it's like for police, but why would you just say, no, I don't want to do this. I'm going to turn around and find something else to do. It's crazy.
Well, I started at 23, and I remember having that talk with myself that I was going to reevaluate after 5 years to see if this is really what I wanted to do. And the next time I remembered, I had 11 on. So things just go 100 miles an hour. Next thing you know, then you're ingrained, and you can't really, you'd be silly to get out.
Right.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And then when we come back, I would love to hear how the first responder conferences, how people request to start them, what it looks like, and really delve in. Because I know, based on things that, I kind of listen when we go into our meetings, it's really on the community in which is asking for it. So it's very interesting I guess I'm interpreting it that way, but let's find out when we come back. We are excited to be able to start our day with Badge Brew Coffee. Hey, Robyn, did you know that Badge Brew has a new charitable badge collab roast?
Hey, Christy, I thought I heard that was going to happen.
Yeah, it's called First Response Roast, with a spicy, smooth, medium roast with flavor notes of spice cake and citrus undertone.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And if that doesn't tempt our audience, a portion of the proceeds go to First H.E.L.P. Oh, and don't forget, they're first responder family owned. Whether you're on day shift, night shift, or the shift of raising your family, Badge Brew has your coffee ready and waiting.
So let me ask you, what's your badge of honor? Find out by going to badgebrewcoffee.com and order yours. If you want the first response roast, click on Charitable Badge Collab. I know I am. Welcome back to Beyond the First Response, and we are here with Shawn and Jeff Thomas, and we're discussing first responder conferences and how they got involved with them. So when we left, I had questions on, because I hear so often, as you said, you've already put on 30 conferences since you started. What does it take? I know I have a friend that tries to help me on the Blue Help side. She's in Kenosha, and I know she reached out to you. I haven't addressed it with you yet because I'm letting her do her thing. but she's excited. You have to find a hosting department, correct? In the area in which you're asking.
Yeah. So obviously I live in Seattle. It would be hard for me to go to,
Kenosha.
yeah, anywhere, right?
Which it'll be in Illinois, so you know, not Kenosha.
Illinois. It would be hard for me to go there and put on a conference when I don't know the culture. I don't know anything about, where to even have the conference. So what happens is people contact us saying that, hey, we want to have one of these conferences. And so we kind of just tell them that we need your help, right? We need local boots on the ground folks, like a team, to help us, number one, find a venue. And then once we find a venue that we think is a good fit, then we start, talking contracts with the venue, trying to figure out what that looks like to see if it's doable. And then we basically sign a contract with the venue and the co-host saying that this is what, you're responsible for, this is your expectations and benefits, and this is what we're going to do. And we're going to guide you through this process. But really, it's the marketing piece that we don't know which departments or even who to contact. There's a lot of different organizations and agencies within a county or state. So we really try to make sure that we're all working together to get the information out so people know about the conference, because we hear that a lot, like, oh, we had no idea. And so we try to do everything that we can and then ask the co-host to do the same as well, and just, get the information out there so people know that we're going to have this event.
And I am finding it's interesting you say that people don't know that it was there. I'm finding when you start in a department and you email people saying, hey, we're doing a workshop or conference, it's a matter of it somewhat stops right there. So do you give advice? Because I'm learning, I'm reaching out to 3-4 different people and then non-management people as well, because that's where I'm finally getting them to hear. Or I was at Police Week and, oh, you were right by us? Yes, we were. So now, is there ways for them to do that? Or do you have some kind of guide to say, okay, now that you have a hosting department, and it doesn't have to be police, right? It's fire, it's any first responder department we should put out there. So I know sometimes fire station, I don't want to, when I say department, I feel like they're like, well, it's just for police, and it's not, correct?
Yeah. Well, we try to work with a co-host who, and then we ask to try to get endorsing agencies on board. So let's say that the police department is co-hosting the event, but we try to say, okay, well, let's talk to your fire districts or departments in the same town or city or whatever, see if they want to endorse, get them involved. I guess, have some skin in the game. Because if we're taking all this time to put this event on, we want to make sure that it's successful and people benefit from it, right? So we try to get as many people involved as possible to help spread the word. And the more people spreading the word, just like, if it goes to the top, maybe wellness is not a priority for them. So we try to hit all the different levels. Usually the training coordinators, or, whatever they're called in departments, whatever different types of departments, usually the training folks will help us try to get that out, or the police or fire academies, or, dispatch or corrections, or whatever it looks like in that area. We want to try to hit the main folks and then have them spread the information as well.
Yeah. So I attended your conference in San Luis Obispo, which was amazing. It was my first one, and I can't wait to go to another one. So hopefully you have more in California in the following years. What do you think, after having 30 of these conferences, do you think is the most well-received type of presentation?
I think
you covered a lot, and it was really amazing.
Thank you. I think that the personal stories and the post-traumatic growth are the most, we get the best feedback from. Just letting people know, you're not alone, and to reach out for help if you need it. But we have a lot of testimonials, and, we do evaluations. So we see what it looks like for each conference, but people really like the personal sharing. I mean, the stories that happen at the conference. So I think that's probably the favorite. And then we, as you know, have many resources at the conferences. And a lot of people just have no clue of all the resources that are out there. So I think that's probably the second most feedback that we get, like, wow, we had no idea. And so just letting people know about all those resources is important.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to what you were saying about there's no one size fits all. It's not black and white. Having all of those different resources, and you think, oh, well, we've already got a retreat center here. Why do we need this other one here? But that's why, because it's not a one size fits all. So someone may really resonate with the person that's there. They may really connect with that person, and that's the one for them, whereas someone else might connect with the next person, the next booth over. So it's like, you have to hit this from all different angles, because there is no one solution.
How many different, so you have speakers, are there breakout sessions?
No, it's a 2-day conference. And we have multiple speakers, but everybody sits in the same room. We have breakfast together, we have lunch together, we have a networking social. And, I never wanted to segregate against professions, because at the end of the day, trauma is trauma and stress is stress. And so we try to include all first responders, and make sure that the presentations are relatable to everyone at the conference itself. So
I love that, because you're all really one family, right? It doesn't matter if you put your badge on every day, if you pull it over your head, if you, button it up, whatever that looks like for you. It's at the end of the day, you're all going to the same call, hearing it from a different side and experiencing it differently, but together. And I love that, because a lot of times there are breakout sessions. I'm like, well, somebody may have wanted to see this one wasn't worth it. So I love to know that they are all hearing it at the same time, because they're feeling it together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it was nice for someone like me, who was sitting there manning a booth, that I could sit there and listen to all of it as well. That was what I wasn't sure if that was going to happen, if there was going to be a separate room. And Karen was like, no, just wait. You'll see how it goes. And it was amazing. Just sit there and listen like everybody else. And we were all one big family, one big group, listening to everyone's stories. So it's definitely, for as heavy as the topic was, I came out of there uplifted and hopeful.
Good.
For my 6-hour drive home.
You got a lot to think about.
That 6 hours went quick then.
Yeah. I felt like it. It was worth it though.
What is the one thing? So on average, you're seeing at least a couple people reach out. Are they reaching out via that evaluation? Are they contacting you? How do you know that they've gotten help or taken something to get help from that event?
Well, sometimes at the conferences, they reach out, or, say, hey, I'm realizing that I'm struggling with this. Can you point me in the right direction? And then maybe I connect them with a resource there at the conference. Sometimes at a later date, they'll contact the speakers, and the speakers will let us know that, hey, I just want to let you know that what you're doing is making a difference. And I've been contacted by so and so and so and so and so and so from whatever departments, and helping them through whatever it is that they need to be helped with. The other way is, yeah, some people do contact us at a later date saying, hey, can I get that information, or I lost that information, or so, I mean, it looks different. One of the things that we really want to make sure that people walk away with is resources. When Jeff and I were trying to find a resource, it was like, oh my gosh, who do we call? And luckily I had, been to some class and knew about a resource. Otherwise, I'm not sure what we would have done, but we don't ever want anybody to say, well, I don't know of any resources, so I'm not going to call. So we make sure in our program, we have a resource list of local and national resources, and ask them, please keep this information. So just in case you or someone else, needs it in the future. Because we don't want them to say, well, we don't know who to call, so we're just not going to call anybody. That's just.
Yeah. Because there's so many resources out there.
Absolutely.
Well, and to have it before you need it, because when you really need it, you're not going to look for it.
Yeah.
To look for it. So I would like to know, how did you get connected with First H.E.L.P? And I guess at the time, probably Blue Help was the name.
Yeah. That's a good question. I remember, I remember my first phone call with Karen, because how do you ever forget?
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know how we were introduced, but we got on the phone. We started chatting about what she was doing, about what we were doing. And, we've been partners ever since. So yeah, it's, we just hit it off and, believed in each other's mission, and here we are.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, I love that the two of you, because at first when I started, I'm like, who is this Shawn Thomas person? She has her own organization. Why is she helping us? But I'm starting to understand how this all works now. So that's what I love about First H.E.L.P in general, is that there are organizations like yours that actually like partner together, and we want to help each other, because it's not self-serving. This is really truly to help the communities, to help the first responders.
So
Yeah. Go ahead.
when you contacted Karen, or when you and Karen talked, did you expect that it would flourish the way it did? And honestly, probably as quickly as we still here at First H.E.L.P, Blue Help as when I started, then First H.E.L.P, how quickly it sprouted.
Yeah, I mean, it just made sense. Obviously I'm on the law enforcement side, so I could relate to what Blue Help was doing. And then of course, advocating and providing information on why we need to create and implement these wellness programs. Right. So I think that, I know at first, I just wanted to help however I could, because of my background in law enforcement. But when, we started moving in the direction of First H.E.L.P and including all the other professions, it just obviously made sense that we still needed to work together. And, we include First H.E.L.P in everything that we do. I mean, they co-present our conferences. So, I just think that, again, we have the same goals and mission. And, it takes a tribe.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
And so all of us working together is going to make a difference. I mean, we already have made differences. We all know that.
Yeah.
Obviously, now that you're retired, are you going to pick up the conferences? Because I know you were kind of, you do what you do in between shifts, right? Now, is it going to ramp up, or you going to try and keep it so you keep life at least calm?
Well, quite honestly, I don't know how I did both for as long as I did. We have added more conferences as the years have gone by. We do pretty much a conference every month. We take off June, July, and August. So we're doing 8 to 9 conferences a year, which is a lot of work. So yeah, I don't foresee anything else happening bigger than that right now. I mean, that's all that I can really, that's hard to do. So I think we'll just kind of see how things go. And as long as people are requesting them and are passionate about it and want to make wellness a priority, we're willing to, get out there and have those conferences. And if someday people it's not a priority anymore, then, really no big, huge plans in the future. Just, I just kind of go with the flow. So.
Jeff, are you the same? Are you just going with the flow?
Well, this is Shawn's passion and her, she's the one that came up with this whole thing. And so I try to support, and I'm certainly not really in a decision-making. She has a group of people that are wonderful. They're so very supportive and always there and willing to work. And and I am too, but I've kind of stood on the outside and helped wherever I needed to be helped. And maybe in the future, I'll do more. Like I said, I kind of had my fill of people when I retired. I just kind of wanted to kind of back out and lay low for a while. So maybe in the future I'll
But it means a lot to support her. I know, because I have someone that supports me in everything that I do and sits back, but does if I ask. So that even if you didn't want to people, that is a lot to do. So
well, she's very, very dedicated to it. And, we have kids in a household and whatnot. So I think I've kind of stepped up on that side of the thing, which is fine because I enjoy that. And, the kids unfortunately aren't going to be around forever. So
how old are your kids?
One's a senior in high school, going to graduate this Friday, and our youngest son's a junior, so he'll be graduating next year. So.
Wow. Yeah. You had Irish twins, huh?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
We're not going to get any more time off of work. Let's just get this done.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I wanted twins. I really did. I was like, let's just get this over with. Jeff and I are only children. So Jeff said, well, I want at least 2. And I knew that I at least wanted 1. So I thought, okay, well, I guess we'll have 2 and 15 months apart is what they are. So I think it worked out well though.
I think so. And 2 boys, boys are so much easier.
Boy. Oh.
My June, well, she just finished. She is now a senior in high school. She's definitely been the one that has tested my patience or lack thereof patience in many ways. So yeah. And they grow up way too fast. So you have to enjoy them and the humor they bring into life.
Yeah, my boy is 13. He's 6'1", and man, the attitude on that boy, I have no idea where he gets it from.
So his attitude is like 10 feet.
No idea.
Well, with that, we won't keep too much time of yours, so you can go. And although they're probably at school, right? Your junior, is he still at school?
They're both at school today, which is
full day.
Got a couple hours of quietness.
Yeah. And you don't want us talking. You don't want to people too much.
No, we love doing this.
Good. I'm glad. Well, what is the best, before I ask my final question, what is the best way if somebody is looking to host or look into the first responder conferences, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you or to find out more information?
Well, they can go to our website, which is the number 1 ST responder conferences perpetuated.org, or they can, they can email me from our website. So that's probably the easiest way. We do have a Facebook page, so they can contact us through our Facebook, but the website, 1STresponderconferences.org is the best way.
Perfect. Well,
Or
I'm
they
sure.
can contact you.
Yeah, they could contact us too. Yeah. Which I think you probably get a lot of contacts through us and we send them to you.
Yeah.
And then we're here on, this is Tuesday. I have to keep reminding myself today is Tuesday that we're recording because I'm thinking it's Monday since yesterday was a holiday. I almost missed another interview for my paying job that I had to go do. Luckily it was a half an hour before I had to be there that my notification went off. Otherwise I'd probably still be sitting here. Totally forgetting. But what is one thing that, and maybe two things, one for each of you, that helps you get through to Friday that makes your weekend a little bit better?
Can I go first?
Yeah, sure.
I'm retired, so every day's Friday.
There you go. Retiring. That's the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we have to figure out what day it is because it's like, what day is? Oh, it's this. So, yeah. I actually enjoy retirement, and I don't have to look forward to Friday because it's, being able to do what you want to do is pretty nice.
I can imagine.
That's
Yeah.
a good one. I think, I think I look forward to Saturday because the kids are home, right? So, and I love pancakes. And so I make pancakes.
I love
Like
that.
That's what gets me through the week is for Saturday. So I can have
Looking forward
pancakes.
to pancakes.
Right? Are there special kind of pancakes? Chocolate chip, banana,
I
wheat?
make all different kinds. It just depends. Berries sometimes, chocolate chip. Yeah.
I need
Butterscotch.
ideas. I
My
had
kids
to ask.
like butterscotch.
Ooh,
I
Yeah.
love butterscotch. Butterscotch pancakes. You're going to have to show me or tell me.
I have
how to
never
do
made that.
You just put butterscotch chips in it.
Chips.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Right. Don't you want some now? Let's,
I do.
Yeah. I'm
Actually,
thinking
I haven't eaten
breakfast for dinner.
there you
I
go.
love that. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know that because I make pancakes on the weekend too. So now I have a few more ideas. I'm excited about that. See, that's helping me already.
Yeah. And
Since
Jeff,
today's
I'm
Tuesday.
I'm happy to learn that you are enjoying retirement because sometimes that's a tricky topic for first responders as well, because, their life slows down immensely. So the fact that you're enjoying it and sharing with other people that there is life after,
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
retires.
that's another nice thing that the conferences do. We talk about finances and whatnot.
Yep.
So that's part of the big picture. People, if they would just pay a little bit more attention to finances, and when they got down to the end of their working career, they wouldn't have to worry about it so much.
Right.
So, and not saying I couldn't have done more, but yeah. So it's like I said, I enjoy retirement so far. I have no complaints. It's the things that I used to have to squeeze in between shifts, or between, because we used to work 10, 12, 15, 18 hours a day sometimes. And so the weekends were just to catch up, and then you'd have to go right back to work again. So being able just to do things at your own pace is really nice, I think.
Yeah.
I can imagine one day when I retire, when I'm like 80, I'll get to enjoy that. Or I win the lotto, whichever comes first. So 80, because you got to play. Well, I appreciate it. And I know Robyn does as well. Thank you for coming on. And we're looking forward to Robyn had first responder conferences in her area already. I'm looking for them coming out our way. It sounds like it's going to be in 2023. So I'm looking to look forward and working with that. So we appreciate it and all you do and taking on First H.E.L.P. Wow. It was wonderful meeting you, Jeff.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Nice meeting you.
Yeah. Thank you.